Did you know that Grace Kelly had a high libido? It was her secret ingredient to her scandalous past. In this video, you'll get a peek into what lay beneath that polished Ice Queen facade, a whole different side to Grace. She didn't care about the rules. She had a thing for older men, and never bothered if they were married or not. Are you sure you're ready for the part where we discuss those steamy nights she had with Clark Gable and Gary Cooper? Wait for it, because despite all these, she becomes an actual princess. In Grace Kelly's life, scandal and sophistication collide. In life, natural talent is a gift that often leads to destiny, but whether that is the case with the gorgeously talented Grace Kelly is not my call to make. One thing is sure, history never forgets and would never overlook the early life of this special Hollywood lady, brought up who lived beyond her scandalous past to become a culturally iconic image in Europe. She was talented, cute and vivacious, exuding an expressive romantic persona that some liken to high libido. Grace Kelly, as her name implies, gracefully lived a life of fame and popularity, moving out of her comfort zone under noble parenting into the wild Hollywood atmosphere, where she became one of the most talked about screen queens for her numerous romantic escapes. Grace Kelly is known as a celebrity of the highest pedigree because of her later vocation, but before royalty altered her acting career life, she was steamy with her sultry Hollywood image, like many of the classic Hollywood beauties. While all that is now an outdated part of history, there's no gainsaying that her sizzling charm at the time reminds fans of old Hollywood's most beautiful and now sophisticated Ice Queen. Even though the popular lyric at the time was that this attractive lady was into a rather steamy love life, and suddenly she was favoured by a royal title that, as someone suggested, subsequently wiped her sins away. Grace Kelly's scandals got largely covered up and seemingly forgotten. But make no mistake about this, Kelly did have her name dragged in several outrageous scandals while active in Hollywood. She appeared in several unique movies that got distinguished with awards, recognitions, appearing with some of the legendary Hollywood leading men, who at different times had their names in print for either in a hot romance or about to begin one with Grace Kelly. While we celebrate her highly remarkable success in life, it would not be out of place to turn back the hands of time on how, in the 1950s, Kelly warmed the bed of her co-stars and never bothered if they were married or not, or was she ever conscious of the age of men she dated, since those much older than her also made the list. Some suggested that her romantic freestyling may have come from the opinion of her father, who supposedly said he didn't expect his daughter to become something more than a housewife, and even talked about her acting career in discouragement. One affair that shook fans at some point and became one of the hottest trends in the gossip media was the rumours of a sizzling affair on set in Africa between Grace Kelly and Clark Gable, while the two worked together on a movie. The scandalous gossip went so viral and could go for one of the most shocking things to happen to Hollywood's ice princess for some obvious reasons. How time flies. Records show that once celebrated Hollywood darling had several admirers and utilised her chances. Fans would remember her in films like To Catch a Thief, High Society and The Magambo. Also that of the Dial M for Murder and The Country Girl will suffice. She was quite remarkable in each of these movies, even as each comes with a related romantic scandalous rumour. If she was not frolicking with William Holden, she is fooling around with Ray Milland, or resting in Oleg Cassini's bosom, and even Bing Crosby. The list continued with famous personalities, although she later cemented her name in history as one of the iconic royals. How? While all that was ongoing, fate had a different plan for her, and not too long we began to hear a different story from the table of one of the beauty goddesses of her time. Actress Grace Kelly found favour with Prince Rainier III of Monaco and was united in matrimony. That move did not just change the course of history for Kelly, she became one of the most memorable icons of the 20th century, and very interesting too. After marrying the prince, rumours of Kelly's dishonest affairs seemingly vanished from cultural familiarity. and she's now linked with royalty and class. I also learned that though her family is well-to-do, to become the Princess, Kelly and her family had to rack up a $2 million dowry to meet the customary obligations. Grace Kelly assumed a fresh identity and even gave up her acting career so she could concentrate on the royal lifestyle and, as someone suggested, raise royal children. The likes of Princess Caroline, Prince Albert and Princess Stephanie come in handy. Although she may have lived an adorable life, there is reason to believe that no kind of lifestyle is a bed of roses. Her enamoured life did not suggest that all was smooth and easy for this beautiful lady. Otherwise she would not have left humanity so early the way she did, at a time her fans needed her most. Born Grace Patricia Kelly to a rich and prominent family of John Kelly, 3 times Olympic gold medalist, and a key Democrat once nominated for mayor of Philadelphia, and Margaret Mayer, her physical education lecturer mother, who became a homemaker. After marrying her father, her mother became a homemaker so she could properly take care of her children. Growing up in a Catholic family, little Grace Kelly had the entire world as her community with promising dreams and aspirations. While schooling at Ravenhill Academy, a Catholic girls' school, Kelly's beauty and talent began to show as she started fashion modelling for local charity events. She also developed an interest in dramatic activities because at age 12 she was a lead cast in Don't Feed the Animals, a drama production by the Old Academy Players. She continued performing in school plays and dance programs until she left high school. That year, her graduation yearbook described her as Miss Grace P. Kelly, a famous star of stage and screen, as part of a prophetic declaration. Kelly soon ditched her academics to pursue her dream career as an actress against her father's wishes. Her father thought of acting as a slim cut above streetwalker, but before he could say Jack Robinson, young Kelly had taken her destiny in her hand by joining the Walter Thornton Model Agency and subsequently appearing on the covers of notable magazines. Although her family was very wealthy, her parents' displeasure about her choice of profession ensured she was on her own, and by the time she became a learner at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, she was paying her bills with income from her modelling gigs, of which she was making about $400 weekly pay. It seems young Grace Kelly adopted her mother's tactics, being that Margaret also did a beat of modelling before choosing another vocation. So for Kelly, it's only a matter of time before she hit it big because she was making more than enough to cover her training expenses. Interestingly, that scenario did not just afford her financial freedom, it also gave her a certain level of self-emancipation, as she escaped from the strict ways of her unwaveringly Catholic family, would not approve of several things she was doing if she was dependent on them. But one of the immediate effects of that was when Kelly allegedly scandalized her family by engaging in an illicit affair with not just an older Jewish actor and director, but a man still in marriage, though partially separated from his wife at the time. In a later reaction, Grace Kelly told a fan that learning that their daughter had fallen in love with a Jew was beyond them, referring to how she boldly took her destiny at her hand. After graduating from Dramatic Art School in 1949, Grace began appearing in New York City theatrical productions and television shows. She first appeared in movies in 14 Hours, but gained considerable stardom when she played in Fred Zinnemann's Western film High Noon. While she was doing her shows on one hand, she was also exploring the other side of what the entertainment industry offered, and arguably the most dangerous aspect of the profession for any lady. Some said she had a high libido. I would not buy the idea of a high libido considering the background she was coming from, a lovely family, well off and close-knitted Catholic faith. Young Grace Kelly must have nursed several childhood fantasies that she could not fulfill, which she erroneously hoped she could achieve in the predatory Hollywood environment, in what I think was a youthful exuberance. The immediate result was that she went on a dating spree and collapsed in the hands of ever-willing Hollywood deceptive leading men, with the gossip media standing by to trumpet her escapes, ensuring early scandalous romances that would ruin her image. Whether it could have also destroyed her career is a subject for another day, but it never did. Rather, it made her even more popular, which arguably led to her being noticed by the prince. Even though she only did 11 feature films, her footprints in the industry are not dying so soon, as she remains relevant among notable old Hollywood actresses. Critics think that her life at the time was bedevilled with extreme ambition, opportunism, and rebellious romanticism. While she was doing that breakthrough movie, High Noon, Grace began an affair with her co-star. It was alleged that during the shooting she fell in love with Gary Cooper. Their on-set romance began as a rumour, and then it went viral in the gossip media for an obvious reason. That relationship was very shameful because Gary Cooper was still legally married and was 28 years older than the young and beautiful Grace Kelly. Those two indicators became the subject of gossip that set the background for her future romances, while the media kept tapping on her. Talking about Kelly's magnificence, Cooper hinted that she seemed like a cold fish with a man until you got her pants down. Then she'd explode. I'm not sure I understand how complimentary that statement is, but she was indeed a sight to behold. While that one appeared to have waned in the public space, Kelly had a reason to keep her fans busy with the gossip media, as she began another sizzling affair the following year, in a location somewhere in Africa, with co-star Clark Gable. The noises generated by that romance were even bigger than the earlier one. While Kelly and Gable starred in Magambo, which also had Ava Gardner, their romance shook the film set as it seems like a match made in heaven. Commenting on that relationship, Kelly once told fans that Magambo had 3 things that she loved so much, which she identified as John Ford, Clark Gable, and a trip to Africa with expenses paid, and added that she would not have been part of Magambo if it was shot in Arizona. Their affair became very steamy and viral that Kelly's mother gets to hear about it. Margaret passionately took a trip to Africa to chaperone her young and inexperienced daughter, and not too long after she discovered that her journey was unnecessary because stylish Gable supposedly abandoned her when he felt she was some sort of a burden. In the words of Grace Kelly, after that one famously ended, she left fans with a rhetorical question when she asked, "What else is there to do if you're alone in a tent in Africa with Gable?" About 2 years after, Kelly was this time on set with Bing Crosby for The Country Girl, a movie that also gave her an Oscar. Another report had emerged linking her to a love relationship with the actor, and within this period there were indications that Kelly was in multiple relationships simultaneously. I heard that at this time she was briefly engaged to Oleg Cassini after his divorce from Jean Tierney. On how her romantic game panned out, it was alleged that the night Kelly earned her Oscar for her role in the movie, Crosby had reported to her hotel room so he can pass the night with her, but he was very late on that mission because Marlon Brando, who significantly denied him an Oscar that night, was already on her bed, so it was a double blow from Brando. Still, within this period, Kelly began an affair with Ray Milland that almost destroyed his marriage. It became known while she was filming Dial M for Murder. Critics say she made a romantic mistake by clicking with her married co-star, Ray Milland. Before this time, Ray had been married for over 20 years. When his wife got wind of the hot romance between them, she threw her husband out of their matrimonial home. That scandal famously dragged Kelly's name in the mud, with rumours flying right, left and centre that Ray Milland was planning to divorce his wife of many years to marry Kelly, and that he only backslided when he realised just how huge of a loss he would incur if he divorced his wife. Milland thereafter remained married to his wife until his demise. Kelly-Milland's affair did a lot of damage to Kelly's image that it almost destroyed her career. A section of the media labelled her a homewrecker, and the image did not go down well with her career prospect. One gossip columnist even referred to her as a nymphomaniac. All these were happening in the 1950s, a period that contemporary America reverted to its puritanical ways. Similarly, actresses were not allowed to be anything other than modest and model ladies. But somehow Kelly escaped from what would have been a career jinx, as it was a matter of time before the day of reckoning sets in. I quite agree with those who said Grace Kelly was lucky to have the prince come for her and put a stop to her auspicious Hollywood romances that would have spelled doom for her. Grace Kelly dated and married Prince Rainier III, but he was not the only royal blood Kelly frolicked with. Sometime in the 1950s it was common knowledge that Kelly briefly pooled with millionaire philanderer Prince Ali Khan, the head of the Nizari Muslims. A unique thing about that relationship is that she was reported to have received an emerald-studded gold bracelet as a gift. This is so because Prince Ali Khan was allegedly said to have always gifted women he dated a cigarette case with one emerald, while those he slept with go home with an emerald bracelet. Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier III of Monaco and became a real princess, a cultural icon, and became the envy of most ladies. Wearing her 10.47 carat engagement ring in her last movie in Hollywood, High Society, was just enough to announce her triumph and exit from an industry that tended to devour her. Grace Kelly died from an injury sustained in a car accident at the age of 52. But don't you worry, there's plenty more to uncover. Next up, brace yourselves for the untold story of Lupe Velez, the fierce and feared badass woman who ruled Tinseltown like no other.